So today we're jumping into one of the most influential stories, well, ever. It's a narrative that's literally everywhere, in art, books, and even how we think about human nature itself. We're going straight to the source, Genesis chapters 2 and 3, to do an explainer on the story of the Garden of Eden.
And right away, the text just lays it all out. It sets up this perfect world, this paradise, but right in the middle of it all, it places a choice. You've got the tree of life on one hand, which offers permanence, and then you have the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which, well, it offers something else entirely. And really, the entire story is going to hinge on that choice.
All right, Section 1, a garden in Eden. Before we can even get into the choice, we've got to understand the world it was all happening in. So first, the text sets the scene, describing how this perfect garden and its first inhabitant were created. I mean, the way humanity is created here, it's described as this super personal, hands-on moment. The text says God literally forms the first man from the dust of the ground, making him a part of the earth itself, and then breathes life into him, turning that dust into a living soul. And in this brand new world, the text is super clear about something. Two trees are incredibly important. These aren't just part of the scenery, they're the symbolic heart of the whole garden. One represents a life that never ends, and the other a kind of wisdom that's off limits. Their placement right in the center? Definitely not an accident. So the story really paints this picture of a lush, rich paradise, right? It's a place with plenty of water, with 4 huge rivers flowing out from Eden, and you probably recognize some of those names like the Tigris and Euphrates. The mention of things like gold just hammers home the point that this place is one of complete and total abundance. Okay, on to Section 2, one man, one rule. Now that the world is set up, the story brings in companionship and a purpose. But along with that comes the very first rule. Just a single, crucial command that is about to become the focus of everything that happens next. Then the text walks us through this really fascinating step-by-step process. First, it points out that the man is alone. Then, after he's named all the animals and it's clear none of them are the right kind of partner, it describes this really unique creation. The woman isn't formed from the earth, but from the man's own side.
You know, what's really cool is the man's reaction here. It's actually recorded as the very first bit of poetry in the text. It's this beautiful declaration of connection, of sameness. He's recognizing the woman as his true counterpart.
And this right here, this is where the stakes are made crystal clear. Just look at the balance. On one side, you have almost total freedom. You can eat from pretty much any tree in the garden. And on the other, just one single, solitary restriction. The line in the sand could not be clearer. All right, Section 3, the serpent's deception. And now, the antagonist enters the scene. A new character shows up, described as the craftiest of all the wild animals. And it has one mission, to challenge that one, single, foundational rule. Notice how the serpent starts things off. It's not with a direct lie, right? It's with a question. And it's a subtle twist of what God actually said, making the rules sound way more restrictive and unreasonable. It's just trying to plant that little seed of doubt. But the woman's response? It's quick, and she gets it right. She corrects the serpent's exaggeration and lays out the real rule. And, crucially, she also remembers the huge consequence that comes with breaking it. You will certainly die. And this is where the serpent totally changes tactics. It goes from a subtle hint to a flat-out contradiction of God's warning. And then it throws out the ultimate prize, the promise of becoming like God, of having this special kind of knowledge. This is the real heart of the temptation. Okay, Section 4, the first disobedience. We are now at the absolute turning point of the whole story. The rule has been challenged, a tempting promise is on the table, and a choice is about to be made that will change, well, everything. And the text is really specific about her thought process here. It gives us this 3-part reason for her choice. The fruit appealed to her physically, it looked good to her, and it appealed to her intellectually. So, based on that logic, she ate it, and then she gave some to her husband, who ate it too. Now, what's so interesting is that the immediate result isn't death, at least not physical death. It's this massive psychological shift. Their eyes were opened, and the very first thing that comes from this new knowledge is shame. Their first instinct is to cover themselves up and hide from the very one they used to walk with. So, Section 5, a curse for everyone. What happens next is this dramatic confrontation in the garden. But instead of anyone confessing, we just see everyone passing the blame, and this leads to these life-altering judgments for every single character involved.
And when God confronts them, what happens? The blame game begins. Neither the man nor the woman takes responsibility. The man blames the woman, and he kind of blames God too for giving her to him. And the woman, well, she blames the serpent for tricking her.
So the consequences that are handed out, they're super specific, right? They're tailored to each character, and they completely change their relationship with the world around them. The serpent, who was so proud, is cursed to crawl in the dust. The woman will now face pain in childbirth, and the man, whose job was to peacefully tend the garden, now has to struggle and toil against a cursed ground just to survive. And that brings us to our final section, exiled from paradise. This is the last act of the story, the one that makes the separation from the garden permanent and kicks off a whole new, much harsher reality.
But, before they're actually sent out, the text notes this one last act of, well, provision. God replaces their flimsy little fig leaf outfits with more durable clothing made of skin. It's like an acknowledgement of their new state, and it prepares them for the world outside the garden.
And that's it. The expulsion is total. It's final. Divine beings, cherubim, and a flaming sword are put on guard duty. The message is as clear as it gets. There is no going back. The old way is gone forever.
And the story closes on this really powerful, explicit reason for why they were kicked out. It wasn't just punishment. It was to stop them from eating from the tree of life and being stuck in their new, broken state forever. It leaves you with this huge question, doesn't it? Was being cast out of paradise the ultimate punishment? Or was it, in some strange way, a final act of mercy?